Hello, friends and colleagues. I'm Donna Lalwani. I work in clinical outreach with the Amen Clinics. I work in the New York office with many of our professionals here in the Northeast, parts of Canada, and overseas. And I am so overjoyed to have with me Dr. Ruth Mary Allan, who is a valued clinical colleague and friend to the Amen Clinics. She is a certified brain health coach through the Institute for Better Health and the Amen Clinics Brain Health Certification Coaching Program. Dr. Allan is also certified high performance coach through the High Performance Institute. She's a certified Havening Techniques practitioner, professional speaker and trainer, and also a military reservist. I thank you so much for joining us. Ruth, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Donna, so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Well, we're excited to hear about you and, tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in your journey. I know you certainly are so committed with a passion for growth personally and professionally, and that adds so much value in the community and many people that you're reaching and serving right now at this time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so my journey start for brain health itself started back in about 2016. I was working in the corporate world in a really stressful environment and working really late nights, 1:30 to 2 in the morning, up really early. My sleep was chronically affected. I was tired all the time, using alcohol in the evening to get through the evenings and sort of calm myself down, and drinking copious amounts of coffee just to get through the day, and chocolate cake was my afternoon go-to, which is obviously really dreadful brain habits. And during the course of that year, I really wanted to join a new military unit. So I went for a selection, and to my surprise, I failed it. I was really shocked. I failed the intelligence test, which previously passed with flying colours. And I also failed the maths test, and that's my favourite subject. So that was the first real warning sign that something was not right, but I didn't really pay attention to it. And then during the course of that year, I was trying to have a baby, and I was really fortunate to fall pregnant, but unfortunately I had a miscarriage. And immediately after that, I was unexpectedly put on a performance review. And they told me at the time of the performance review that I had no emotional intelligence. That really knocked me for six. And I started having anxiety attacks, chronic stress as a result of this. Of course, the stress had already stacked. And the sort of final straw for me was starting to have suicidal thoughts. And I thought, God, goodness, I really need to take back control of what's going on here. That's not right. So I reached out to high performance coaching, and I went on an amazing transformational journey. And that's where I met Dr. Daniel Amen at one of the events there in the United States. And I was fascinated by the work he was doing in brain imaging. And I thought, goodness, this is really what I need, combining my experience in medical imaging with my passion for helping other people. And I first read his book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And that's really exactly what it did. It was almost, couldn't put it down, had to read it cover to cover. And I realised that something was really wrong with my brain, because during that period, I was also struggling with memory. I was struggling with word recall, forgetting where I put things. Things just didn't feel right. And I thought, wow, now is the opportunity to really learn how I can take back control of my brain health. Something's not right with my brain. And I was really curious to find out what was wrong with it, what I could do to make it better, and what I could do really to optimize it. So I went on an amazing transformational journey with my brain, and focused really on my health and well-being, focused on my diet. And then in 2018, by that time I'd lost 27 pounds in weight. I was able to realise my dream. I became the fittest I've ever been, realised my dream of ski touring across the Alps. And by that time I'd massively cut down on all alcohol, no puddings really to speak of. And we found out as we were ski touring across the Alps, it wasn't just me that was ski touring with my husband. There was a passenger on board, and 8 months later, lovely daughter Lily was born. And that really changed the status quo as to the importance of looking after my brain health, because now it wasn't just about me, it was about future generations of me, and making sure that I was role modeling the way and helping, you know, not just my daughter, but also making sure that I can help the people that she'll grow up with, so that they can learn how to look after their brains too, and not go through the struggles that I'd been through as a consequence of poor brain habits. And so that led me to really wanting to understand what's wrong with my brain. So I visited yourselves in Northern California when I was heavily pregnant, over in the States, to really learn about the clinics. I couldn't get my brain scanned at that time, but then I went back to the clinics in April the following year with my daughter and my husband, to your clinics there in Costa Mesa, and I got my brain scanned using QEEG, because I was still breastfeeding. Well, I really wanted to know what was going on, because I was training to become a brain health coach at the time, so I wanted to know, how is my brain working, and that was really fascinating, because I realised that actually all these minor knocks that I'd had as throughout my childhood, riding bicycles, skiing, had stacked up, and actually cumulatively I was diagnosed with a moderate brain injury by the Omen clinics, based on my assessment scores and what they saw on my brain scan. And I had damage to my temporal lobes, and that was probably what was most likely affecting my memory. And that really made me wake up, and the need to take omega-3 supplementation to help my brain and help my brain repair, and making sure I looked after my diet. So I went on a elimination diet as well. And I also found that my brain was working too hard in the basal ganglia region. I had quite a lot of anxiety as well. So I now take everyday stress relief is the supplement I take from Brain MD to really calm my active thoughts. I have a very active cerebellum, so my brain is always going very fast. So I always have a lot of thoughts whizzing around in my head, and it's really sort of calm those unhelpful thoughts down, and that's been really, really helpful as well. And then obviously focusing on vitamin D. As I said, I went on an elimination diet, and I found that I've been sick for most of my life with sinusitis, and it transpires that I probably was dairy that was causing all the problems for most of my life. And so now I really keep dairy at a bare minimum, cut it out most of the time. And similarly with gluten, I hardly have any gluten anymore. So really focusing on making sure that I look after my brain health, making sure I do exercise regularly to stimulate my brain, to make sure I keep my dopamine levels high and serotonin levels boosted, and do the right exercise for me. So yeah, it was a really transformational journey. And of course, learning about the brain through the Brain Health Certification Program has just been phenomenal, to kind of think about how can this be applied in better understanding new types of approaches to helping people, particularly with trauma. So that, you know, havening is a really new approach. I was really interested to understand how that works from a brain imaging perspective. So that got me really curious, and it has just been a fascinating, really inspirational journey for me personally, being connected with yourselves and learning all of the fantastic work that the clinics do, and all the insights that you can get from just looking at the brain.
Appreciate you sharing about your passion, your enthusiasm, your commitment to taking that into self-care first for optimizing your health and your wellness. And we certainly think about that too. How do we create a circle of influence around other people to lift them up in healthy lifestyle and habits? So, you know, in optimizing your health and wellness, it certainly pays off for the passenger on board, and the trajectory for your family's brain health and well-being. And we feel more kids and youth and students, families and parents need to be thinking about that now more than ever because of the epigenetics component. So there's a lot that we can do to optimize our brain health and wellness. And so just hearing from your perspective on, you know, how imaging has helped, and taking underway all these different interventions from your dietary nutrition, your physical fitness and wellness, you know, on board. and also knowing some important risk factors that may be impacting others, right? From Dr. Raymond's Bright Minds approach, thinking of anything that from a concussion or an injury or physical and emotional traumas, anything that's going to affect blood flow to the brain or our sleep and nutrition, or if there are, how many people will not be affected at some point in their life and journey for their brain and mental health, addressing whether it be depression or anxiety or OCD, other types of conditions, cognitive issues, executive function, right? At all ages, we can work on this sort of wellness. And I think many more of us feel too how important it is to take steps where we can on a preventive area of the spectrum, but also if we are, or we know of someone, we hear about someone who's struggling, it's important to take action for their wellness. And I appreciate you and the resources, that you offer. And I know I've enjoyed my conversations and meetings together with you and Dr. Allan Lowe, our physician in the New York office, and Dr. Eamon, our team, Amidoshi in the Walnut Creek office, Fallon Jordan as well, super coach for the Brain Health Certification Coaching Program, and Chris Walthall have really enjoyed connecting together. And we value you and the partnership. And
it's just been brilliant connecting with yourselves and, learning from your experiences, how I can translate that to the people that I serve and to the wider community to help people really take note of learning about their brain health, because it's not talked about very much with, very big focus on mental health, but less of a focus on brain health. And, as Daniel Amen's written his book, The End of Mental Illness, it's really important we do start this brain health revolution and start having these open conversations about brain health and getting rid of that stigma and focusing on what we need to do, like you said, with the risk factors, in making sure that we look after ourselves for the future. So it's really important. What I'd say to anybody is, if you do feel that you feel that something is wrong with your brain, you kind of intuitively know something is not right, then don't wait until you become symptomatic, because we know from research that Alzheimer's disease can develop 20, 30 years before any symptoms even come to light. So it's really important that, when you're noticing something is wrong, that you take the time to learn how you can help your brain get better, because you're not stuck with the brain you have. And reach out to yourselves too, from an Eamon Clint's perspective, to understand what parts of your brain are working too hard or what parts aren't working hard enough, so you can really get that sense check and get that baseline, so that you know what you need to do to improve your brain health. It's so important.
Absolutely. Immunity, infections, toxins in the environment, absolutely. Any of these kind of factors that may be surrounding us, and also genetic factors too. So there's always areas that we can optimize in brain health and wellness. And I appreciate everything that you're doing and working, with individuals and helping as part of that community of practice. We feel very much that this is part of a Brain Warrior Way community here at the Eamon Clinics, and you're very much part of that, Ruth, and all of you as well. We invite you.
I really love being part of it. It's wonderful being part of your community. It's very stimulating as well from a brain perspective, to continue to be able to learn and grow, which is so important for ourselves too.
It's very much crucial. And we want all of you to take a look and visit Dr. Ruth Mary Allan's website for more information and to connect with her online. Visit ruthmaryallan.com. That's RuthMaryAllan.com. That's RuthMaryAllan.com. And of course, since Eamon Clinics is specialized in brain health, the research, diagnosis, and treatment, you can always visit our website at amenclinics.com. That's AMEN clinics.com, or call and speak with one of our care center specialists at 888-340-8131. Thank you so much again, Dr. Ruth Mary Allan, for being here together with us today.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It's a real pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.
And all of you stay safe, healthy, and well.